Shalom and good morning, everyone. I'm out here, the sun is just coming up, and I was just looking at these pole shadows. I don't see any yet, which is kind of interesting. And look at this shadow coming off of my Nomian. Let's see if I can zoom in. It's almost coming straight off of there. There is a slight angle to it. As you can see, let's see if I can get a good picture of it without me causing problems here. So it's coming off the Nomian, and it's angling towards this line, but it's almost straight. So I would say that this is getting really close to being New Year's Eve tonight. We'll go over a little bit on the computer what the sun will be doing tonight. But we can see we still have an angled line there on the armillary. Out here feeding the chickens this morning while I'm waiting for that sun to pass the clouds. And just check in with our little injured bird who's been in quarantine. For as bad as her injury was, she's doing so well. So Miss Goldie, yeah, you enjoying your breakfast? I tried to let her out the other day. It was a nice day and I was going to be outside, but the other chickens weren't having it. They went after her immediately. Her wound was still pretty fresh, so giving her a few more days in quarantine, and she's going to have to come back out and reestablish her pecking order, but want to make sure she's up to the task before we let her out. So that's the chicken report this morning. Let's go check the table and see if we just got clouds. I was able to get one little mark a few minutes ago on the table, so it was hit and miss this morning. We did get an armillary reading this morning, so I'm grateful for that. We had some bright sun first thing this morning, then the clouds they all gather at the mountain. And yeah. So I was only able to get a couple on here this morning. Oh, looks like hubby got some over here. So it's starting to, so we can see it's trying to get in with the purple. But it was lower than the purple this morning, and now it's coming up as it will at midday start straightening out. So, and over here on the little table we've got a few more dots. You can tell the difference between the pink and the purple there. So the pink was slightly below the purple first thing this morning, and now it's starting to integrate in to this part here. So that's this morning. Whether we're going to get, every time I think the sun's going to get high enough I'm going to get some light, then the clouds start building up higher. Tomorrow we have a 72% chance of rain. So I'm just hoping in the morning I can get an armillary shot. Probably won't be able to do the tables tomorrow, but that's okay. This is why we are told to learn to number our days. Oh, there's some sun. Let me get that. Shalom. So this is my midday report for March 19th. We see the armillaries telling us that it is midday. And I've been able to get quite a few marks today. It's been hit and miss. But we can see that the pink is riding just right below the purple here. So we have pink just right below. It's leveling out. This is where they're merging here at midday. And over here on the little table, we can see that here's the pink right below this green. So the green was 2 days ago. Yesterday was purple. So it's just right below the purple throughout the day. The pinks and the purples, I hope you can see the difference there. So that's midday right now. We've got a lot of clouds coming in. So hopefully I'll still get some readings this afternoon. and finish up this evening. We still see angled lines, and I was noticing this morning that the pole lines weren't as angled as they were the day before. The only pole line I can see right now is this one really well, and it's just because the sun is right there midday. But this morning's angle was interesting to me. So it just tells me that we're so close. So close. Even my husband came out and he looked at the armillary after I had made my little video this morning, and he's like, oh, look how close it is to the straight line. Because on the armillary, you can tell that it's getting closer just by the way the shadows are laying. So that's my midday report. You can see I made a little mark here for midday. It's just starting to come off of midday. That's what our shadow here is telling us as well. So exciting. I don't think I'm going to be able to get any readings tomorrow. I'm going to have the armillary out, and hopefully I'll get some morning light. That Yahoo will just blow those clouds away and give me some morning light. Because right now the storm is starting to move in. It's supposed to be raining for days here. So we'll check in this evening, see how things are looking, and hopefully all of you are out there looking for yourselves, and you can always share your information with us at remnantofthelight@gmail.com. That's remnantofthelight@gmail.com. You can send your information there, share with us on Facebook, Remnant of the Light. Woohoo, last day of winter. I'm going to throw a little bit in about how the sun is moving, and we can see exactly what's happening tonight while we're all sleeping with that sun, and what to expect tomorrow to give us that mark of the fourth day. What better sign than a straight line when that only happens twice a year? It's abnormal. It's not a normal thing. That's what a sign is something that stands out. Something that is like a banner waving at you, like, here I am. And that's what that straight line is. That's the banner, the mark for the fourth day, so that we would never lose track of the seventh day Sabbath. Isn't that awesome? How much our Creator loves us, that He wants us with Him and gave us this mark, this banner that stands out among the year's signs of the sun, this straight line. Beautiful. Baruch Hashem. And I'm Sister Erin Ryan, and that's my midday report for the last day of winter. All right, well, I think I'm done for the day. It's a little after 4 o'clock here, and I don't think I'm going to get any more sun. We can see how close these 2 days are. Today's the pink and the purple. They converged quite closely here at the midday. Pink was just a little bit lower than purple this morning. We had our angled line at sunrise, and the messages I've been getting through my email, people are also seeing a bent line today. But I'm going to tag on to this video the information about what the sun's going to do tonight on this 364th day of the priestly count and the 365th day of the solar cycle, and what the sun is doing tonight and how it aligns itself for tomorrow, so that the priestly count and the solar count can start together. Okay, so here we are on the Stellarium software, and this is my local time right here. We can see that the sun is still south of this equatorial line, of this line that causes the equal light that Enoch says is 9 parts and 9 parts. He tells us on the last night of winter the 364th night, the sun is going to set itself up so that it can show the straight line the following day, the 9 parts and 9 parts. It says, when the night is equalized with the day, that night of the last day of the year, it sets itself up so that the following day it is equalized with it. So the night has equalized with the following day, not the day before. He doesn't say, well, that day the sun is setting itself up. He says that night the sun is setting itself up. So we see that the sun is still south of this equatorial line. And I'm going to zoom out a little bit so I can change the time. We're going to come over here to sunset and see what the sun is doing. We see we're still south of that equatorial line right here, still south of the line. So we're going to keep moving. And as it gets closer to sunrise, this sun is going to get closer to that equatorial line. And we can see now it's touching it. Moving over it more and more as it gets closer to sunrise, just as Enoch said it would. If the 20th was the last day of winter, this is where it would be in the morning. We would not be getting a straight line. That would be a bent line. This is the straight line. This is a bent line. So the 19th at sunrise, this is where the sun was. On the 20th, this is where it is, because that night of the 19th, it moved into position to give us the straight line on the 20th. And when we get to the end of the day, it will have crossed over to the north side of the equatorial line. So this is doing exactly what Enoch says it will do on the last night of the year for the priestly count and the last night of the solar. This day on the 19th, this evening, is where all the luminaries come together to be 364 days. The sun, moon, and stars. So this is what we see. And now the sun is rising. And we see that it's on that equatorial line. Then we get to sun. Let's get to my midday. Let's see if I can zoom back out, straighten this up. So we're clicking along. We see the sun is on that equatorial line. Midday. North, south, east, and west, right there in the center of the sky, just like we're told it's going to be on the first day of the priestly year. The sun is in the center of the sky. We're given this straight line, this sign for the 4th day of creation. The greater luminary was given this sign. Every other day, the sign, the lines, the shadows are angled, they're bent. But on this day, they're straight. This only happens twice a year. What better sign than that to give the greater luminary on the 4th day of creation? This straight line. This gives us this mark so we don't lose the creation Sabbath. If you're not starting your count, if you're not applying this sign to your 4th day, then your Sabbath is going to be off. So let's continue through the day, and we see that it's still traveling along that line. Now we're getting to the end of the day. Let me scooch over here to the west. And we see now that the sun is in the northerly position. It is now north of the center line. And we'll continue to just move farther north until the summer solstice. Now, if we look at this is where it is on the 21st. If we look at the lines, the shadows that it produces on the 21st, it's going to be bent. So we have a bent shadow before and after the straight line, which gives us a witness. One's going to be bent towards the south and one's going to be bent towards the north. And that gives us the sign of the fourth day of creation. That's the sign that the priests knew to start counting from. They knew that 3 days later, our Creator rested. So that's what's going on with the sun today. So this is kind of our New Year's Eve. But Yahuwah has us celebrate New Year's Day. So isn't that funny? How the world celebrates that big New Year's Eve celebration, ringing in the new year. And Yahuwah tells us, come out during the day and celebrate. This is when the priests are anointed. This is when they set up the tabernacle. The priests were told to set up the tabernacle on this day. And they had to set it up on the equinox day because the front of it faces the east. They had to have that due east reckoning. That only happens on the equinox day, and the Bible tells us that's the first day of the year. The first day of the year of the second year of the Exodus is when the tabernacle was set. They couldn't do it the day before or the day after because they would not have that due east reckoning. Then all you'd have to do the following year is open up the curtains and the sun would shine right into that middle post. That middle gate. They had 6 posts in the back that I believe measured out the gates. And it told them that was the beginning of the year. Of course, they were counting. They already were expecting it. There's confirmation that Yahuwah gives us to start the count. This sign, this straight line that the priests used to start counting. Creation was only one cycle, 52 weeks. We have to use the creation week as a blueprint for the cycle. So this is what happens. This is what Enoch tells us is the day to start counting. This is the first day of the solar year, the first day of the solar cycle, but it's also the first day of the priestly cycle. The priestly cycle and the solar cycle are two different things. The solar cycle doesn't have a break. It just goes from vernal equinox to vernal equinox. That's the solar cycle. The priestly cycle has to absorb that 365th day of the solar cycle. And Yahuwah gives us this natural break at the end of the 52nd Sabbath to do that. Then it begins anew and counts out perfectly the way just as Enoch tells us. So I'm going to wish everybody happy Rosh Kodeshim, Happy New Year, and we'll check in with you if we have some sun tomorrow. So until then, I'm going to wish you Shalom, shalom.
Shalom, shalom.